Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Mike, and I'm all about simple indoor gardening, hydroponics, and making stuff grow where dirt doesn't belong. Today, we're diving into something super beginner-friendly, the top 13 easy hydroponic plants you can grow indoors. No green thumb required. I'm talking fresh herbs, leafy greens, and even some sneaky favorites you probably didn't know thrive in water. No soil, no mess, just water, light, and a little know-how. Whether you're using mason jars, a fancy hydroponic kit, or just a DIY plastic tote, I've got something in this list that'll grow right in your apartment, even if all you've got is a windowsill and some patience. Let's get into it. Here are the top 13 easy hydroponic plants to grow indoors. And trust me, number 5 is a total game changer. Alright, number 1 on the list, the peace lily. Honestly, this one surprised me when I first tried it in hydroponics. I always thought it needed soil, but nope, pop it out of the pot, rinse off the roots real good, and stick it in a jar or vase with some water, and boom, it's good to go. I like to throw in a little hydroponic nutrient every couple weeks, just to keep it happy, but even without that, it holds up like a champ. The leaves stay glossy, the flowers still pop, and it doesn't freak out if you forget it for a few days. It's one of those low-drama plants that just sits there looking pretty while quietly filtering your air. Plus, you get that nice tropical vibe without trying too hard. Peace lilies in water? Total win. Coming in at number 2 is the Heartleaf Philodendron and man. If you want something that grows fast and looks great without any fuss, this is it. I took a cutting, tossed it in a mason jar with some water, and like 2 weeks later, boom, roots everywhere. It's kind of addicting how easy it is. This plant just wants to grow. It's perfect for shelves, hanging spots, or even that awkward kitchen corner you don't know what to do with. And you don't need to overthink it. Clean water, a little light, maybe a drop of nutrients every now and then, and it'll keep trailing out like a champ. Plus, it's one of those plants that makes you feel like you know what you're doing, even if you're totally winging it. Super beginner-friendly, zero stress. Alright, number 3 is the money tree plant. And yeah, this one's kinda cool, because it looks fancy, but it's actually super chill in water. I got mine as a little braided guy from the store, rinsed off the soil real gently, and stuck it in a tall glass vase with just enough water to cover the roots. That's it. No drama, no wilted leaves, just steady growth. It likes bright, indirect light, and every few weeks I add a little hydroponic nutrient, but honestly, it doesn't ask for much. What I love is how it adds that whole Zen corner vibe to a room. Plus, people always think it's high maintenance, but nope, it just sits there, looking good, and supposedly brings in good luck and money. Can't promise that last part, but hey, it hasn't hurt. At number 4, we've got the spider plant, and honestly, this one might be the easiest of the bunch. If you've ever had one, you know they throw out those baby offshoots like crazy, and those babies are perfect for hydroponics. Just snip one off, toss it in some water, and it'll root up like it's on a mission. I've got a few sitting in old glass bottles on my windowsill, and they're thriving with barely any effort. They don't mind tap water. They bounce back fast if you forget about them, and they look great just doing their wild little thing. It's like a messy haircut that somehow works. Super forgiving, super beginner-friendly, and kind of addicting once you start propagating them everywhere. You'll have spider plants all over your house before you know it. Number 5 is English ivy, and yeah, this one's a classic, but it totally holds up in a hydro setup. I just snip a few long vines, strip the leaves off the bottom, and drop them in water, usually in an old jar or even a coffee mug, if I'm being honest. It starts rooting fast, like within a week sometimes, and once it gets going, it'll just keep trailing and climbing like it owns the place. I've got one wrapped around my kitchen shelf right now, and it looks awesome. It does like a little more light than some of the others, but nothing crazy. A bright window does the trick. You'll want to rinse the roots now and then, and maybe toss in a tiny bit of nutrients if you're feeling fancy. But overall, this plant just goes. It's low-key, grows fast, and makes your space look like an indoor jungle without the commitment. Number 6 is lucky bamboo, and yeah, technically it's not real bamboo, but who cares? It looks cool and it's ridiculously easy to grow and water. I grabbed mine from the garden section at the store, rinsed off the gunk from the roots, dropped it into a tall glass with some rocks at the bottom, just to keep it upright, and it's been chillin' ever since. You don't even need to mess with nutrients right away, just clean water and indirect light, and it stays happy. It's one of those plants that gives off calm spa vibes without asking for anything in return. I've got one on my desk and one in the bathroom, and they're still going strong after months. Plus, they're supposed to bring good luck, so hey, not a bad deal for a plant that basically takes care of itself. Alright, number 7 is Pothos, and if you've got zero plant experience, this is your ride or die. Like seriously, I don't think you can mess this one up. I just cut a few vines, stripped the leaves near the bottom, and stuck them in a jar of water. Didn't even use filtered water, and a week later, boom, roots. It grows fast, looks lush, and you can let it trail down a shelf or climb up something, whatever vibe you're going for. I've even forgotten to change the water for like 2 weeks, and it didn't care. It's super chill about lighting too. It'll grow in a bright spot, or even in that sad little corner where nothing else survives. You give this thing water and a little attention, and it'll make you feel like a plant pro without trying. Pothos is just that plant. Number 8 is the inch plant, also known as the Tradescantia. And honestly, this one's a little show-off with those colorful leaves, but it's super easy to grow in water. I just take a cutting, strip off the bottom leaves, and pop it in a glass jar with some fresh water. It roots quick and starts growing right out of the gate, and before you know it, you've got this trailing, vibrant plant that adds a pop of color anywhere. It doesn't ask for much, just keep the water clean and give it some indirect light. It's perfect if you want something low-key, but with a little personality. And it's one of those plants that's fun to watch grow fast. Plus, it's tough enough to survive if you forget about it for a couple days. Totally beginner-friendly, and a cool addition to any indoor garden. Number 9 is Nasturtium. And this one's a little different because it's usually an outdoor plant, but it actually does surprisingly well hydroponically if you're up for a bit of a fun challenge. I started mine by soaking some seeds in water until they sprouted, then moved the seedlings into a simple water setup with some nutrients. The leaves are this bright, cheerful green, and the flowers? Totally edible, and add a nice peppery kick to salad's bonus points there. It needs a bit more light than some of the others, so a sunny window is your best bet. It's not the absolute easiest, but if you want something a little unique that also looks good and tastes good, Nasturtium's a solid pick. Plus, it's kind of cool to grow something that doubles as food without dirt. Number 10 is Marigold. And yeah, most folks think of these as outdoor garden plants, but they actually do pretty well indoors with hydroponics if you give them a shot. I started mine from seed, just soaked them in water until they sprouted, then moved the little guys into a water setup with some nutrients. They love bright light, so a sunny windowsill or a grow light helps a ton. The flowers come in these bright orange and yellow bursts that seriously brighten up a room, and they even help keep pests away if you're growing other plants nearby. They're not the easiest compared to some on this list, but they're still beginner-friendly if you don't mind giving them a little extra light and love. Plus, they bring that classic garden vibe indoors, which is always a win. Number 11 is Moss Rose, and this one's pretty cool because it's a succulent that actually likes growing in water, which sounds weird but works. I started mine by taking a cutting and letting it dry out a bit so it wouldn't rot, then popped it in a shallow dish with some water, changing it every few days. It grows these bright, colorful flowers that really stand out indoors, and the leaves are thick and kind of waxy, so they hold up well even if you forget about it for a couple days. It needs good light, a lot, but other than that, it's pretty chill. If you want something that's a bit different from your typical leafy plants, and you don't mind a little extra light care, Moss Rose is a neat one to try out. Alright, Number 12. Is Chinese evergreen super underrated, if you ask me? I took a cutting from an older plant, rinsed off the soil from the roots, and dropped it into a tall glass jar with water. That was it. It adapted pretty fast and started pushing out new growth in just a couple weeks. The leaves have this cool pattern. Some are silver, some are green with speckles, and it looks way more high maintenance than it actually is. It doesn't freak out if you forget to change the water for a bit, and it doesn't need a ton of light either, so it's perfect for a desk or a lower shelf. It just kind of does its thing, looks great, and doesn't complain. Definitely one of those low-effort, high-reward plants for beginners. Alright, last but not least, number 13 is sweet pea. And yeah, I know it's more of a garden flower, but hear me out. These guys actually grow really well in water if you start them off right. I sprouted the seeds in a damp paper towel, then moved them to a jar with some water and a little liquid nutrient mix. They grow tall and viney, so you'll want to give them something to climb, even if it's just a chopstick or a piece of string taped to the wall. They love light like a sunny windowsill or under a grow light, and when they bloom, man, those flowers smell amazing. It's kind of wild having something that pretty and fragrant growing without soil. You get this old-school garden vibe right in your kitchen or living room, and honestly, it's a fun way to wrap up the list. All right, that wraps up our list of 13 easy hydroponic plants for beginners. If you're just getting started, pick one or two and give it a go. No soil, less mess, and a whole lot of green vibes indoors. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, maybe subscribe, and let me know in the comments which plant you're trying